in case. And I apologize. My green screen is a white background. And these white backgrounds do not work very well. I need to create another one, don't I? So while I'm waiting to see if anybody shows up for 15 on the hour. Oh, that didn't work. Okay. So somebody showed up and somebody went away. Somebody came back. All right. Ooh, green screen does not look good when I move around, so I'll try not to move around too much. So what I wanted to talk about was a little concept I've been thinking about actually for a little over a year, and that is, here's the duo, and then what if a duo were this ain't gonna work here? For this size, I guess the green screen is too much for people. I should do a better job, but I'll bring this up. Hopefully, you can see it. You can see the size concept between a Duo 2 and the proposed Surface Duo Passport. And I say Passport because it is approximately the size of a passport. So some people want a smaller device. And I've thought, well, would a device the size of a passport be a good size for another, let's say, addition to the duos? And I kind of think yes. In fact, it too would make a nice size for note taking. So I think the Duo 2 is a pretty good size, a one that is the size of a passport, which I'm holding up here, my passport, and the green screen's not working very well with a white background. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to my Carolina varsity background. I don't care. It works well. So I'll turn this off and just kind of come back, and I say it works well. It's just so bright in here because of the light. I just can't do it. I'll put it back up here. So there's one person watching. What do you think about a smaller duo that would be the size of a passport? I thought, heck, if it opens up and you could turn it vertically, you might have a pretty decent normal size phone, a little wider than. And understand I'm using the word phone for you guys, not for me. I like to use the word device, but it would give you a device that you could have more verticalness to it and still have a nice width to it. That is the big advantage of the Duo is its width of screen, be it individual screen or opening up into book mode or even going vertical with it. still having some nice width for reading and note taking. It would, I to be honest, I think it would make a really nice size device. We don't want them to get too small, but I believe that you would still have enough to be able to write. I'm kind of holding my passport and my slim pen too here, and I could take notes still with it. Would it need a camera? I still think so, yes. But maybe it could go without one. Maybe it could have, a device like that could potentially have a more flush camera on the backside. Problem is that I don't like the the width of a Z Fold. I think they're too narrow on the width. Can give you a little bit smaller this way, but they're still very tall. The flip is an interesting option, which I have not played with a flip, but it might could come close to fitting something of this nature. I do believe that a foldable versus a dual screen is still the way to go, even for a product like this, so that you could have some nice vertical scrolling and not have to worry about the gap. I like the concept of having something that is easy to hold in the hand and easy to tuck away somewhere, and maybe not so heavy as well. So, as you can see from the little thing I did in Photoshop, it is a bit smaller. I think that's about 75% smaller, but I did make it the exact height of a United States passport and then scaled it widthwise to whatever that came out to. So it's close, still very, very, very close to the same form factor as far as height and width. So two people or on would be great if you had a comment if you're here for this. I don't know where you're from, if you're on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, or even Twitch, because I think I'm out on all four right now. So, Facebook, it could be anybody watching. Twitter, it could be, well, anybody. YouTube, most likely, no. So, no comments. I did also want to take this opportunity or time to talk just a moment about bugs. Still haven't seen any. Other than I have a situation where sometimes when I task switch, the screen freezes and I have to close the device and open it back up. That doesn't happen often. Since the factory reset, it's happened 3 times in a week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that. How long has it been since the factory reset? Doesn't seem like we're approaching a month of Android 12L. Um, and I know I factory reset within, uh, a couple of days. I did find after the security update last night, Reddit wouldn't work. And so I ended up clearing memory on the Reddit app and then logging back in, and it worked. clearing cache didn't work, but clearing memory did for the app. And then I noticed Twitter wasn't working properly. So I restarted the device, and that might have fixed the Reddit app. But I restarted the device, and because I was also having, and I'm still having an interesting thing with Facebook. I should say that Facebook keeps opening up multiple instances now. I think when I go to notifications and select a notification in Facebook, it's opening up another instance of Facebook. Facebook's acting kind of uh, funky or, or janky, maybe better word to use, since the security update. And it's just a security update. So why that would impact Facebook, I don't know. Hi, how's it going? Um, I think that's really odd that and I haven't had a chance to check many apps since applying the update. I don't seem to have those issues on the Duo One, but I haven't used. All I did was updated the Duo One, and I really haven't used the Duo One much at all. Um, since I mainly use the Duo Two, and then since this is a Friday night or Friday, and it'll be a Friday evening, and I'll be going out to high school football tonight and doing some video at a state championship. I'll be using my S21 Ultra for that primarily. So I got to get Twitter. If Twitter's going to remain, who knows? Twitter may not be operating tonight the way Elon has driven it into the ground, but mainly have been using the Surface Duo 2, and it has, I think of the apps, as I mentioned, the Facebook app is doing some weird things. Uh, Telegram and Reddit, and I think Instagram, a little bit that I was on Instagram, it all seemed to be good. Outlook seems to be working fine. Uh, I haven't done a lot of work stuff on my Duo since the update last night, but I have checked email and my messages, 'cause today's kind of a busy day for those of us that do the webcasting for talking preps. Um, so we've been kind of active today. So really, it's just been those. And along those lines, I noticed that some people have been talking about on fixing the phone bug on after Android 12L. I've seen carrier services mentioned several times in some videos, and thought it might help you people to understand that carrier services really only handles RCS from what I can gather. So it's like an underpinning for the Messages app and RCS. So doesn't seem to have anything to do with the phone app and making and receiving phone calls. Going through some conversation this morning on Reddit and started last night uh, with an issue that several people are having with the phone app on T-Mobile and not being provisioned. It seems like that it might be a provisioning issue, which might mean if you're having issues, you might want to look at your carrier services version, which is part of the SIM. You're back in your phone settings and your mobile settings. You might want to check it. I don't know what it should be. Obviously, it's going to be vary between carrier. Um, Otherwise, so the three of you that's watching, how are things looking for you? I notice things have just settled down tremendously on Reddit as far as issues are concerned. And Microsoft has not released any fixes. The only fixes we've seen have been with the phone app, uh, messages app. If you were having messaging issues, the carrier services app from Google, which is again the underpinning for the messages app by the description of the app, and I don't mean in the Play Store. I actually went to Google's site to look deeper into carrier services because I initially thought it might have something to do with it, but it seems it only applies to RCS messaging. Um, no other, nothing else has been done. If it is a provisioning thing, then maybe factory resets might clear something, and then when the phone comes back and gets reinitialized and announces itself to your carrier network, I'm wondering if the IMEI number's not getting reported correctly, and that's what's causing the provisioning issue, which in turn is causing issues with calling. I think the moderator of Reddit, he said that he didn't have any problems with Verizon, but he has problems with T-Mobile, and he doesn't have problems with T-Mobile if he's on 3G. And of course, 3G here in the US is going away. Everybody's shutting down those towers. So there's no, some of you may not have 3G capability. Any comments? I would love to hear what you think about a smaller duo. Not that Microsoft is possibly going to listen to us, but who knows? Maybe they might. I like the concept. I think if there's going to be another device other than what the next generation may bring, which I still do not believe is going to be a dual screen device. And honestly, I don't want it to be. I want it to be a single screen foldable. I do believe the benefit of losing the gap, there's benefit to that. But I want that only if it can be reliable. Now, Microsoft, I know for a fact, wanted that initially, but they went dual screen because foldable technology was not reliable enough. So, foldable's been around for a long time, but not in devices that we're carrying around in mass quantity. And the technology just had not proven, as we saw with early releases of the Z Fold, just was not really ready for mass production. I guess it's getting better. Hopefully, it's getting a lot better so that we can have that technology because it makes more sense than having two physically separated screens, that we'd have to deal with a gap because they can't put those screens close enough and still be able to fold backwards and closed. And that's an important thing too, I think, is to be able to fold the device backwards into single screen mode. Because for me, there are times that I don't need two screens, and just to save battery, you fold it back and you cut that screen off. You're going to save battery. So there's advantages just for that. The device is too wide for me to hold and And I have large hands. I don't have gigantic hands, but I wear large gloves. I don't wear extra large. I could, but I'm a little loose in them. I don't have giant hands. It's hard to use the Duo in single screen mode effectively. And to be honest with you, I don't use my S21 Ultra in single screen mode or single hand, excuse me, mode. It's too difficult. I might use it when I'm walking and carrying something and just scrolling. But if I needed to type or any of that other stuff, I don't do that one handed. Um, Maybe young people do, but us older people, it's not as easy or convenient. To be honest with you, I didn't do it a lot when I had a BlackBerry with a physical keyboard or my Windows Mobile devices that had the fold out keyboards. And you could hold a device in one hand and type. I really didn't do it then. Um, Probably the only time I ever did it was when back in the old Nokias back in the 90s. You had a device about yay wide, and it made more sense then to hold it in one hand. I'm just looking up to see if anybody's got anything to say. If not, I'm gonna shy away from here, head on out. Maybe work on a in Photoshop on a better background that doesn't have any white in it, so that I can use it during daylight. Otherwise, I have all my work stuff that's showing up, and I like to have a background. Okay. Well, that's it. I'm going to run then. Thanks for tuning in.